What's going on, everyone? I think we are. We're gearing up here for another great edition of our Zoom Hangouts. I think we're getting everything set up. So I'll just go ahead and start introducing. I might have to do it again when we get fully going. But over to, I don't know where he's on your screen, somewhere on here. The one that says Robert Cessna, that's Robert Cessna. He's with the Eagle. He is the legendary Aggie reporter extraordinaire. But he's not the most important person in here. The most important person in here is the guy that isn't me or Robert Cessna. That's Brett Vito of the Denton Record-Chronicle, covers all things University of North Texas. And what a week to have someone who covers University of North Texas on this, as the SEC goes all conference only. That negates the UNT matchup that A&M had this year. Brett, what's kind of the vibe you're getting from officials over there? I know there's a hefty fee that was going to be paid for that game, but there's also force majeure clauses, act of God clauses in there. What's kind of the rumblings you're hearing up in Denton?
Well, it's going to be interesting because that is a heck of a lot of money for North Texas. Hang on just a second.
He's getting a scoop. This is good.
Yeah, I know. Live. This is like Adam Schefter.
Well, it's not a scoop. I just needed to tweet my story on the NCAA delay of the fall.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of rushing to finish that up when you guys called. So, it's very interesting. The thing that's going to impact North Texas is just the financial end of it. That decision. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I got it. So the point here is that that's going to be a big deal for North Texas, because as a smaller program, those money games are vitally important. And I have a series of stories that are going to begin later in the week on just how important they are for North Texas. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be pretty bad, because if you think about it, North Texas has a budget of about $40 million, and you start adding up all the money that's gone away, and it gets to be pretty big. I mean, you talk about Ren Baker earlier this year estimated that the loss of fall sports championships was going to cost North Texas $2.5 million. All right, there we go. Now we got it. So you're talking about $2.5 million there. And then you talk about potentially another $1.5 million for the Texas A&M game. And then you start getting into it where it adds up. You start getting into a pretty significant amount of what North Texas is losing there. And that doesn't even count like you're talking about the summer events. They have a coach's caravan that's a big financial draw for them. So this isn't just it's one little guarantee game. It's not a big deal if it goes away. It's huge for North Texas. That's a ton of money. And I don't think they're going to let this – they're not going to take this line down. I think North Texas is going to fight this tooth and nail for that money, because if you look at the contract, there's a buyout in there for $1 million that A&M would have to pay to get out of the contract. Everybody knows that. Everybody's looked at it. Mm-hmm. But A&M's AD, Ross Bjork, comes on and says, well, I don't think we're going to have to pay that. Well, North Texas looks at the contract. If they're going to go play 10 games in the SEC – how can you look at the force majeure clause in that deal in unforeseen circumstances and all the things that it lists and say, well, that gets us out of playing in North Texas and giving them that $1 million buyout, but we're going to go play 10 games in the SEC. Mm-hmm. That's going to be North Texas's contention there. How do you get through that?
Not to mention earlier before, both talking to me and Cease, as well as on their in-house radio show, when talking about why they should play their full schedule out, Bjork was on record saying, why is it any safer for us to fly to South Carolina than it is for UNT and ACU just to drive down and play at Kyle Field?
Yeah, and that's the point. I mean, I was talking to one of North Texas's boosters, is a big time lawyer. I was talking to him the other day. He's a corporate litigation guy, and I just from the people that you talk to, I just don't think that there's any way they're going to take this line down. I think they're going to try every which way to get that extra money, because that's the kind of money that makes a big difference for a Conference USA level